The non-payment of service providers by government has become so serious, some business people refuse point blank to conduct business with the state. Subcontractors who worked on the Tlhabologang Primary School project say their lives have been ruined by government contracts. Clement Munaisa is a small business owner from Lichtenburg, 35 minutes drive from Tlhabologang Township. He started his flooring business in 2008 after having worked as a teacher for 3 years. He says one of the hardest aspects of being an unestablished entrepreneur is finding business. So he's constantly on the lookout for new opportunities. While driving along the N14 to Johannesburg in 2016, he saw a school being built just a few kilometers from his town.
And when I first saw it, it was in a developing stage with no roof. So it was sort of my target. Then I waited for that school to be fully constructed.
When the school building was almost complete, Clement went on site to meet the site agent. It was this meeting that led to him presenting his product in order to secure work.
I invited my technical rep from Belgotex to come with me, as they are very supportive, to come and do a presentation of the product that will be selling to the client or to the contractor.
He was asked to submit a quote. He says his quote was approved and an appointment letter sent to him by the main contractor, 3 Rings. 3 Rings is a partnership between companies Sabata Sabatana Business Enterprises and Canistraro Investment 116 Pty Ltd. The two won the main tender to build the school and formed a joint venture named 3 Rings. At the helm of the two companies are Komoto Monaka and Paulus Sugar Mhlambi. 3 Rings received a budget of just over 36 million rand. Clement says his portion of the work was worth more than 500,000, and he was to start in April 2016. But 3 months into his contract, payment disputes began.
It was clearly written, or I've clearly put that I'm going to need 50% down payment prior to starting the project.
So the 50% that you asked for as per stipulation in your contract, was that money given to you?
It was not given to me.
He stayed on the project and new terms were agreed to.
The contract was saying we are going to pay you as and when the client, which is the IDT, is paying us.
When the Department of Education in the Northwest sought to alleviate the overcrowding at Matlape, they approached the Independent Development Trust, or IDT, to facilitate the building of a new school. The IDT is an implementing agent that reports to the Department of Public Works. Its core function is to support government with social infrastructure management and program implementation. It is the IDT that was responsible for appointing contractors and a project manager to ensure that the school would be built within a reasonable amount of time. But the project was riddled with problems. Clement isn't the only subcontractor to wait on payment that never arrived. Thomas Kurebwa from ATI Civils says he has lost everything due to poor project management and failure to honor payments.
We've lost basically equipment. We had about 38 permanent employees that we had. We've had to lay them, let them go. And you can imagine the devastation of their lives. We've lost our credibility with some of our clients because we had equipment and resources to give us ability to compete, in the market and to supply an excellent service to our customers. But because we've not been paid ever since we've been working on this project, all our money that we had to take from our personal coffers, our savings, to get the project to be completed, we've ended up losing it out because we've not been paid, and all we are left with is debt to pay. We've lost our office space, we've lost our homes, our vehicles, everything that we had worked hard for the past almost 13 years.
ATI Civils was a small civil works and construction business started by Thomas and his business partner, Atenkosi Joga. They were brought onto the school project to construct a gravel road. When they received the appointment letter, the agreement was that they would be paid for every milestone that they reached and every scope of work that they completed. Their contract was for over R1 million, but to date, they say they've only received 400,000.
We delivered beyond what we were expecting, what was even in the contract, because we did other extra works that the contractor got impressed with our work and started issuing more work to us so that we could, do more.
Additional work included plastering, painting, and window fixtures, but they say they didn't get paid for this either. So in November 2016, Thomas and his men downed tools. This triggered the IDT to enter into a new deal with them where the IDT itself and not the main contractor would make payments. This agreement is referred to as a session. The session was to kick in within a period of 6 months. With this new assurance from the IDT, in late January 2017, work resumed. But still, there was no payment.
They were hanging a carrot to us to get in, and after all, we had already spent money, and we were looking at recovering our money, and the only way we could recover our money is when we achieve milestones.
Thomas says he has tried for over a year to get answers, but no one seems to have any.
We've engaged lawyers who have communicated with IDT and the Department of Education, but also to no response from the department or anybody.
IDT regional head in the Northwest, Kabelo Motswane, blames the main contractor.
The contractor started very well in the execution of the project. Unfortunately, along the way, then you start picking up issues in relation to the part of the contractor, non-payment of subcontractors, non-payment of laborers, and general issues around the execution of the project. And then you start seeing poor performance on site. You start seeing things that you're not supposed to be seeing. Project not happening at the pace it should be.
He says all session agreements were honored.
Every subcontractor that went into a session arrangement, the specific work was evaluated and paid for accordingly.
The main contractor, Paulus Sugar Mhlambi, claims that he too is still owed money, and that any failure to complete the project was not due to poor performance, but due to the IDT's failure to pay his invoices.
When you stopped working on the project, IDT says that you had completed about 60% of the work. Is this true, or did you do more?
90%.
You had completed?
90%.
Paulus is adamant that he stopped work because he was owed money.
But who owes you money? Your JV partner or IDT?
The IDT.
So you still claim that you stopped work because IDT owes you money?
Yes.
Apparently you had cash flow problems between you and your JV partner.
As we speak now, I do not have a summons in my office that talks to non-payment of the contractors that were terminated.
Following the termination of the Three Rings contract, the matter was referred to arbitration, where Three Rings is demanding money from the IDT. A new contractor was appointed in March last year. Ramalepato Industries was allocated a budget of 19 million rand. But they've not done much work because they have no site engineer. The previous one was allegedly sacked because of poor performance. The new contractor told Checkpoint that he too had to wait for more than 4 months to get his invoices paid. According to Tlhabologang from Equal Education, failure to honor payments is the highest contributor to projects not being finished on time.
When an invoice isn't paid timeously, so flowing from the Provincial Education Department to the implementing agency to the service providers, that the service providers now pay out of pocket, which is a big thing that contractors complain about, that they're spending their own money. And there are so many delays in paying those invoices that sometimes contractors then abandon sites. So now you find a project just left alone, creates delays. Now you have to start a whole new tender process. Now it adds more money because they've been like the price of goods has increased. So like it's a vicious cycle.
Thomas Gureba says it's this vicious cycle that makes him reluctant to work with any government agency ever again.
I would never do anything for the government as a subcontractor. I don't want.
After the break, has the IDT's role become redundant?
I wouldn't say we are redundant.
We still have to meet with them so that we can get exactly if they are actually up to the challenge.
And what is the way forward for Tlhabologang Primary?
The school, as I said, we are going to finish it by the end of May 2019.